Relationship problems, relationship issues due to long-term effects of drug usage, alcohol usage, pornography, things like that. Things that cause emotional immaturities, abandonment issues, post-traumatic stress disorders, all that stuff. I want to share a couple of things that can help, that has proved to help me. And to me, I think this kind of things can help shape a relationship quicker while a person is learning what they're going through, what they're identifying the problems are. Because let's face it, when it comes down to it, it's like our hearts and our minds, it can be a lot like car problems. It's like it can be really frustrating trying to figure out what's wrong with the car. It's like if you can't pinpoint it by a professional and you're trying to figure it out yourself because you know a little bit about it, but not very much. And you go fixing this and fixing that and working on this and working on that. And each time it's not that and it's still having problems or whatever. And then finally, but anyways, case in point, it's getting crystal clear on what the problems are and identify them. Luckily for the human psyche, we can just get it pretty close and work from there. But anyways, I honestly believe that to attack these kind of issues and relationship issues from both ends, like while trying to figure out on one side exactly what are the problems, where they came from, and how deep they run and stuff like that. And then on this other side, maybe setting some guidelines, some pertinent ideas, some criteria, and identify a definite goal. And in this case, it would be love, true love, what it is and what it does. Because to know what it is and to know what it does, like for me, throughout the years, I never had a good idea what actually love was. Anyway, it always seemed like a joke to me all my life. And then by the time I get further up in age, where I'd had years of alcohol usage, drug usage, I was completely blind to it. I needed some serious help, serious guidelines. And spirituality, prayer, stuff like that. No, I'm not talking about religion, but yeah, religion can help. But anyways, let's delve into this, shall we? We'll go through this. We're not going to go through the whole book. This is what I'm talking about. This book here. This is the only one right now. This is not into production. The contents of the True Love Papers, Volume 1, starts off of True Love. This simple explanation, what true love is and what it does. And then there's 12 guidelines to it, short form. And then there's 12 guidelines, long form, that gives an explanation of what those 12 are. And then 3 criteria to go by. And 3 pertinent ideas. So let's run through the guidelines. Well, let's run through the basic idea of what true love is and what it does. It is a servant to humanity unveiled by combining the perception of 2 or more minds that form a new awareness. It's synergy. What's it do? It creates a way of expressing current truth to unveil right and proper relationship of consciousness and existence. And true love guidelines. Number 1, won't gossip because that only feeds a dark hunger that only makes for a hollow self-esteem. 2, avoids fault finding and blame like the plague because those things turn relationships toxic. 3, does not have a competing demeanor and only wants for nothing but things to be better for all involved. 4, only listens to understand and has no desire to prove others wrong and themselves right. 5, listens in a manner that knows the possibility exists that someone could reveal something that may prove their long-held cherished ideals that seem to be of absolute truth to be lacking or to be of a false virtue. Number 6, strives to clarify that they have in fact understood what was being said and can relate to how the loved one felt or feels. 7, expresses their responsibility in trusting their loved one's capacity to self-direct. 8, doesn't allow hurt feelings to fester with loved ones. 9, comprehends that attitude can be far more important than immediate results. 10, has arguments continue until an agreement of some kind without ill will can be reached. 11, knows how important it is for all involved to fully express themselves and say what they want without interruption or being interrupted. 12, understands that during sensitive and volatile times it can be extremely important to make clear that you are there for them and not against them, with a demeanor that shouts all things considered. Those are short forms of the guidelines, and this is pertinent ideas. This is True Love's pertinent ideas. Pertinent idea A, that life without it feels like life is happening to you, not for you. Pertinent idea B, that its absence for a length of time brings out the worst of the worst. C, that the intentional use of it can sometimes affect an immediate change for the better that can transcend a lifetime. Let's do long form of those. First and foremost, for any relationship, and especially the relationship one has with oneself, there must be plenty of self-love and self-compassion, the products of mindfulness. Along with that foundation, having well-defined purpose and mission for life and compelling reasons for that can make it easier to see where and when boundaries need be clearly set. Case in point, the more fully a person is living into their highest potentials in self-love of heart, mind, body, and soul, the better in finding like-minded people. And as for lovers, true love in itself expresses a sense of purpose and direction. This is not to say don't have purpose and mission because love will do it. Or does it? Of course, without the skills and ability to love oneself always, no matter how much material gain, with power and status, life will never feel like it's happening for you, but it'll feel like it's happening to you. True love pertinent idea B, that its absence for a length of time brings out the worst of the worst. This is something that affects every single human being of God's green earth. There is no escaping this reality for no one. First off, let's acknowledge some things that may hinder or stop the flow of true love. Naturally occurring biases in the human thinking processes, unresolved traumas that may have caused a post-traumatic stress disorder, various forms of abandonment issues and their long-term effects, the emotional immaturities that block the flow of truly healthy relationships. Sadly, these things can go undetected and uncorrected. Most generally, the issue gets masked by excessive television watching, social media usage, obsessive hobbies, obsessive work habits, excessive drug use, alcohol abuse, and or anything to cover up the underlying feeling of emptiness, hollowness, and that deep down notion that something is off with life. The things that distract via intimidation, misdirecting, and falsifying current truth all seem to serve well, whether it be institutions, organizations, religions, or intoxicants that distract unclarified pains to feel okay with things that we are not okay with. All the components that make up the flow of human connection called true love, when blocked, creates an absence for a length of time that brings out the worst of the worst. True love, pertinent idea C, that the intentional use of it can sometimes affect an immediate change for the better that can transcend a lifetime. Every human being can be a little different in what they may need from others and what they need to give. All these true love guidelines, criteria, ideas, and definitions of true love are nothing more than suggestions that may help untangle some knots of the heart and mind to live a more fulfilling life. However, the True Love Paper series does not wish to be the arbiter of anyone's conception of love, sex conduct, or any form of relationships. Our only aim is to share what has proven to be a great help in our own lives' troubles. The True Love Papers do not claim to be a cure-all. However, it is proving to be a very beneficial supplement to the human psyche in general, and the intentional use of it can effect immediate change for the better that can transcend a lifetime. We are sure we can all agree that one way to feel wholesome and happy is in knowing that we are living a kind of life that may outlive our lives in a good way for all. That's the True Love Papers. Those are some basic guidelines. The long form and the guidelines gives a better description of the hows and whys of the way those are written out that way. And we're not going to go into that right now because we can't squeeze that into 15 minutes. However, the thing may be, the problems may be, even the most professional of the professional clinical psychologists or whatever, they have just as hard time identifying emotional disorders and pinning them down for exactly what they are. And a lot of that is due to people who have emotional disorders and all that stuff. For one, they really don't know they have it. And for two, they're not very honest with themselves. They're more of, delusional. I mean, there's really not an easy way to say it. Delusional. And they've had to be that way as a coping mechanism to deal with non-functioning parts of their mind and heart. It's a very painful way to live. And I know this. I've done it most of my life. And now that I've identified the grosser handicaps of the issue and have worked hand in hand with others and people who are very, very well versed in these kind of things out there, and with the help of God, which is who I just call the universe, or the spirit of the universe, knock on wood, I have basically become a whole new person in just 2 years flat. Now, however, I can tell you that it has came off in layers. I can't just say all of this healing happened in 2 years. And the reason I say that, because throughout the years, it's like, get sober, then not be sober, get sober, then not be sober. But each time, it's like a layer came off. And then I'd go back out into the fire, and then come back out, and another layer would come off. And then finally this time, we got down to the core of it, the real meat and taters of it. So the thing is it's not. It's a journey. It's not something that's fixed all at once. The best of the best cannot help a person say, hey, we're going to fix this in this amount of timeline, and this is your problems, and this is how we're going to fix it. They may help a lot, but it's like when it comes down to it, I think a lot of it's God's hands on it. And each person just varies so much. That's why I honestly believe stuff like this, that has some general guidelines to go by. They are some rough guidelines to go by. They're pretty generous. And normal people that aren't an emotional wreck, they don't need to read books like this. They don't need these kind of guidelines. They're naturally loving people. But as for the rest of us who's got a lot of dents and dangs and rough around the edges, yeah, we can use the help. So anyways, yeah, use the help. The help is there. And not just this book, but any. This book is a Frankenstein of many years of notes, journaling, and just little snippets and tidbits of this and that, transformed in the way I communicate. So anyways, heal thyself. Start working on thyself. Get help. Be help. Start getting healing. Because once the injuries are addressed for what they are and how bad they are, then they can be cleaned up, dressed up, and then healed. Yeah. See you in the funny papers.